And if we want to leave like 5 minutes or so to leave with
Okay.
one word, why don't you just go with it?
All
This
right.
is your meeting. You go for it.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm Pastor Deb Martin, as I said earlier. I'm with Zelma Friends, and we work in North Houston for quality of life improvement and social determinants of health. Tonight's presentation, we're talking about identifying the vulnerable, an equity and justice issue. Extreme heat does not impact everyone equally. There are specific populations, whether these are defined socioeconomically, by age or pre-existing health conditions, occupations, or housing insecurity. There are those vulnerable and the mental health impacts, and with our health system as it is, with no mental health parity, people that are perceived as suffering these struggling mentally health. It's not like, if they break their arm and someone brings them a cake and a plant, it's like, what's wrong with you? It's not what's happened to you. So we're trying to educate people, and I should say inform and share and enlighten, not educate. It sounds rude. But we're trying to talk about how the most vulnerable can be empowered. So the call to action will be that while the data is sobering, we're going to end tonight on a note of agency. And I want you to keep this in mind before the presentation. The single most important action an individual, family, or community group can take starting tomorrow, I say starting now, is to build psychological resilience, protect your mental health against the growing health threat of climate instability and especially extreme heat. So, without a further ado, I'm going to share my screen, Jamie, if that's okay, and go straight into their presentation.
You should be able to.
Yeah, here we go. Okay. Now, you just tell me, are you seeing it?
You are good to go.
Okay. These are the key impacts of weather on trauma hypervigilance. Severe weather events, storms, floods, fires, and extreme heat. These trigger traumatic hypervigilance, putting our nervous systems on high alert. They cause individuals to obsessively monitor conditions, experience flashbacks, and feel intense and uncontrollable fear. These environmental triggers can re traumatize survivors of previous disasters, leading to insomnia, extreme anxiety in children, reduced school attendance, including cognitive disruption. The exposure aspect is triggered PTSD symptoms, thunderstorms, heavy rain, high winds. These can evoke flashbacks, fears, and emotional distress similar to the original trauma. Constant environmental scanning. Survivors may become hypervigilant about weather reports, constantly checking the forecast, watching the sky, anticipating danger. And we all know the fight and flight brings up these terrible hormones in our body, but there's the one in between is freeze. And that's where the amygdala of the brain simply can't process the fear, and people can just become trance like and maybe even not take care. So we want to make sure that we look for physiological and behavioral shifts, increased irritability, difficulty sleeping,
Deb,
heightened.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but could I suggest maximizing your screen because you've got that table on the side, and I think it
Let me
might be a little bit easier. Thank you.
tell me, is it doesn't really seem to be getting bigger, does it?
Just X out that to the left where it says "Welcome to Adobe."
I'm sorry, Jamie.
No, don't be sorry. I
I'm,
just wanted people to be able to see your wonderful info.
I am technologically challenged. Okay. Triggering these PTSDs that we've talked about that in the scanning, the physiological behavior and behavioral shifts, difficulty sleeping with a heightened startle. I know I have a heightened startle response, especially to sudden sounds like thunder. Sensory overload of control issues. Extreme unpredictable weather can trigger feelings of helplessness. People may try to cope by isolating or trying to exert extreme control, over their immediate environment. These are also known as seasonal sensitivities. Seasonal changes, colder weather, the return of spring or the start of hurricane season. We just hit the anniversary again of that derecho. I'd never heard of the word before it took out half my house. These can bring back memories and trigger the heightened anxiety. And the tips we talk about to relieve weather anxiety. We can take action. Prepare for the extreme weather and take our necessary precautions. Create a family plan for specific, and I'll say an individual plan also. A lot of people in our committee are single people. They don't have a large group with them, but they create their individual plan, such as for tornadoes, fires, or flooding. This could include knowing, being signed up with the state and the county. It could be signed up with Metro to be evacuated or taken out to a shelter or a cooling or a warming center. To stay calm, reframe your mindset to focus on what you can and cannot control. Remain confident in your preparations. Have a buddy. Call your buddy. Jamie's my buddy. PK's my buddy. And, run through your plan. Ask them if their plan is solid to focus on safety. And so, to note what we've spoken of, if you identify any of these things in yourself or people you care about, their difficulty in sleeping, nightmares associated with weather events, loss of concentration, increased irritability, hypervigilance on weather reports, intrusive recollections, which is having thoughts about weather even when you don't want to, extreme responses to low key weather. So that when the weather is just going to blow through and have a squall, or we're going to have some quick rain, we don't go into that negative thinking process. It is not uncommon to have these symptoms after extreme weather. For most people, these feelings will subside within days and weeks, but for some, weather trauma symptoms continue and they can develop into a form of post traumatic stress disorder. And so I wanted to be very clear about that. And I wanted to stop sharing because that was the point that I wanted to get to hear from some of you all in the audience, because I think I've spoken out quite a bit on all of my extreme weather. That's okay, Doug. um, and we're glad to have you. And I know sometimes we have to jump off, but that's what I wanted to speak on while we have a few moments. Did any of these things resonate with you all, with people you care about, with people, with yourself? And if so, what are your self care techniques? And are you joining any self care groups or um, taking steps? And if not, how can we as a group help formulate some Houston climate movement best practices that we can practice in and share? And Jamie's putting some resources, I believe, in the chat. And at this time, someone wanted to say something quickly. Um, oh, that's Laura. Okay, so Laura, you're sitting through city council budget meetings and these climate related projects. This is good. And Sharon with Third Act and West Street. I talked to Felix last night. And I too go to Twyla Carter's Resilience Committee and like to see you down there sometimes. We are not going to wait to be saved. We're not going to wait for systems to be built where they don't impact us. We're going to take measures and take the best reliable information we have and put our best foot forward. So, PK, you've got your hand raised. Whoever wants to jump in after PK, just start raising your hand. Go ahead, PK.
I just think that one of the things that might uh, push this out for those organizations who are finding that one of the things that we have to do is build trust and respect, and the what I call the four pillars as ethnic, ethics, and integrity, because all of those things can be triggers. If you don't feel heard, those kinds of things. And if we could put a team together, you and me starting at Deb, we could create a survey so that we can get some of those patterns of practice along with the solutions to patterns of practice that are difficult to overcome. And we've got it in every organization. Every organization. There is something to be said about building relationship. It's hard work.
Very well said, PK. Very well said. Did anything resonate with anybody else on here? That anybody, or are there any questions? Are there, and I'm not a practitioner, I'll tell you. Mutual aid people like us, we don't diagnose and treat, we refer and support. So we stay in a circle of practitioners that are professional. Many people in the underserved areas do not have access to professionals. And so what we try to do is find access through community based and through support groups. And through groups like this. Terry, I see you raising your hand. Please go.
So it's too late this year, but I think this is an area that's like really not well documented. And so the media, like Channel 13 and some others, put out their hurricane maps. Harris County puts out hurricane information, and just in general, even the media, just to do a tagline about the impact that this can have on the emotional level and on the mental, not stability, but the mental impact to people. I think as a group that we could do kind of a focused effort to get that in front of them, that they're mentioning it. And it's not just mentioning it from the standpoint of society and people hearing that, to be mindful of it, to go to the next step and kind of maybe have some resources that go with it. So the hurricane map that goes out by the TV station or whoever's putting it out, that they actually include some links or resources about what could potentially be available to be helpful. That was it.
That was beautiful. Jamie, you got your hand up. Please go.
Hi, everybody. So the mental health study that we're working on, it's specifically the mental health effects during the August heat wave of last year, but it's extreme heat. And I put some links to resources that Deb hasn't seen these yet, but everybody in the focus groups are getting them. And I figure I share them with you too. These are really good resources, I think, and kind of goes over a lot of what Deb was just saying, especially as far as the finding peace and creating community and listing out who your people are for what, especially emotionally. So please feel free to use those and all of that. And yeah, I'm just really glad to have you all here. This is so important.
Hey, Haley, your name.
Hi, yeah, thank you so much for raising awareness on this because I know you mentioned West Street Recovery and SEER. There's, several groups that are working on like resilience hubs, which are absolutely necessary. And, in my personal opinion, it's like, oh, well, we need to address climate change. But the reality is like we also need to meet communities where they're at and like climate change, denial, maybe that'll, go away in like 10, 20 years, who knows? But like we need to meet communities where they're at and help them with, like, water, safe water and a roof over their head that's not leaking or, not moldy walls and stuff. So like I think, pairing a lot of these amazing resources with like the resilience hubs. So of course, like, they're meeting communities with like the amenities and the tangibles, while the unspoken and the mental piece is still a resource that people can have access to. And just speaking personally, like I grew up like loving the rain and playing in the rain. And now when there's a rain event, like I don't know if I need to like check my cupboard to make sure I've got like my water and my staples, get like my flood plan, and I go into like a little, freak out. And so like I can't be the only one. And so like again, I just want to say thank you for raising awareness on this. But yeah, as far as like dispersing this information, making sure, I'm sure maybe resilience hubs already have, some of these resources, but just kind of pairing it with the tangibles, I think would be a good way to give access to it. Check.
Thank you for that, Haley. And I've been in touch with Brooke Campbell from the United Way. She's their resilience officer. And I believe that in our next meeting in July, we meet quarterly, this committee for at-risk folks. We're going to talk with her about establishing a warm line so that we can check on people that are alone or maybe don't have a car or maybe don't have enough essentials. And I've been part of a warm line for several years. We're going to expand that, and then we're going to feature a holistic practitioner that will demonstrate self-care and restorative practices. And you'll get some information on that soon about our meeting that we're going to have late in July. Who is liking to talk next? Has anybody been touched by these? Uh, Paul, there you go. Let's hear from Paul.
I just wanted to add, I muted myself. There we go. I just wanted to add that the Harris County, who I work for, we did a survey that actually got a number of responses, 753 responses after the last hurricane. What was the last one called? B, it starts with a B.
Burl.
Uh,
Beryl.
Beryl,
Burrow.
that's what our last
Burrow.
study was on.
Yes. And our survey of respondents all over the county, they mapped it everywhere around the Harris County. I was really surprised because the number two thing they listed as the major problem they dealt with was their mental health. And we had thrown that in there as just like an off answer instead of, worries about damage or whatever. There was a whole list of those things. But mental health came up to be the number two response out of that whole survey. And I thought, wow, I didn't expect that.
Very wise answer and very true, because mental health, 1 in 4 Americans struggle with a mental health issue. 1 in 5 Americans identify with some form of disability. And yet we're at a time when we've created such a planet that so many people have to be considered, incapable and disabled, that they're not taken seriously, and or it's hard to get on programs, and they have people fighting over crumbs. And that's why, just to let you know, that the way that Zelma works, mutual aid, not through charity. We find charity to be very sometimes unkind to people and not ask them what's happened to you, but what's wrong with you. And we love charities, and we're not saying we don't support them, but mutual aid takes quite another view, to look at the whole person. And because it's people helping people, we're all got a gift. We don't all have the same infirmity, but if we're all putting our best foot forward, our best ideas, we're going to come up with something that's going to really become the movement. We're a climate movement. We're going to be a movement. We do all these things, but we're going to move. That's what's going to happen. Jamie.
Oh, did I? I'm getting share request. I put it on viewer, and I guess it's just not letting you print it or save it. So just let you know, I'm improving all those. I didn't have anything else to say.
Oh, okay. I did
I
do
mean, I can
apologize.
tell you this, that I will tell you this. So last year, um, we did it's the same study, same setup and format, but it was on the mental health after effects of Hurricane Beryl. So it's really interesting to hear Paul talk about that, because while the county was doing that, we were super focused on third and fifth ward in particular. And know that too, when we pick the areas for the studies, we're like actually looking at what's concentrated, what needs to be done here. I will tell you, looking at the climate vulnerability index, if I look up like the worst of all the mental health stuff, there's one area of Houston that is the darkest purple, and that is Third Ward. And I'll tell you from my experience last year, and I'll actually put the study in the thing, was that community is everything. And if there are people out there without community, they are missing on the number one thing I heard that got people through it. Because you say, oh, I didn't have this, I didn't have that, or this happened, or that happened, but thank God I had community, or or my community, my neighbor brought me some food, or this or that. So I think that's so important. And I'll have like a fun project later on. You know me, I'm not going to go into it now. But I think that it would be surprising. Mental health, I think, what, 90% of us probably have some sort of mental health. I know you just said the things, but like the world is traumatic right now, and weather is traumatic right now. Living in Houston is traumatic, whether it's weather, whether it's chemicals, what have you. And I just think that we really need to band together and have some safe places where people can honestly talk about this. The other thing is, it's not just enough to do studies. Um, we do have the intent to find funding that we can go back and work with these areas to find projects to address these things. And it's something simple as bus stops, y'all. You would be surprised how much mental stress bus stops cause, either after a hurricane or during extreme heat. Like they're both showing up there. So, anyways, I'm all for supporting it. I'm gonna stop talking now and let somebody else talk.
Thank you, Jamie, for bringing those important aspects up. And I would also say that while we are looking at all the different moving parts that we're doing here, we heard Hermine speak earlier about the work he does in power and energy. It's a lot of moving parts. We talk about the urban desert or the island, heat island, like over here, very little tree coverage, lots of concrete, asphalt, industrial. And I'll just share that I'm the super neighborhood president for Northline, and I met with TxDOT last week, and they started showing me pictures for segment one with this concrete cap over it. And I said, well, what's on top of that? Is there a nice forest and a waterfall? And is there a movie theater? No, that's up for you to go find some private development. TxDOT's not going to make you pretty. Well, are they going to fry us under that freeway? Because that concrete is just going to bake and bake and bake. So luckily, they haven't funded segment one that goes to the woodlands between 45 and North Line, where we are, and the woodlands. And so we have time to work with our stakeholders. Super Neighborhood 45 is 20 years without one. So we're getting a quick start, scaling up. And we're looking all over the city at other areas that are facing these same concrete jungles where there's lots of heat, little trees, no place to dip your toe in, a splash pad or a pool. So I think we're going to start looking at all the remedy. What helps people in extreme heat? Putting their body in water. And when you strip all the tubs out of people's homes and put the showers in, that's great. Now you've lost your ability to go sit in a cold tub. You have to run a cold shower. We want to talk to people about how they can remedy to cool their bodies down during these times. So I think we got a lot to work on over the summer, lots of ideas to get from the people that are on this call. I hope that everyone who didn't speak and didn't want to participate, but to listen, to observe and absorb. I hope you come back and have other ideas and share with us what's working in your organization and your neighborhood. Because if we share all of our tricks and techniques and our hopes, we're going to reach more people than just complaining and sitting at City Hall wagging our finger. I can do that all day long, and I do. And now you can get online and do it. But I really want to see us really push them. When I say them, the city of Houston in particular, to look at where they put these cooling centers and where they put the resources, because areas that are resource deserts, they don't have hubs. We don't have any over here. There's no public building. Our parks don't have an activity center. So we're looking at our community college at Northline, and I think that's important, is to identify a public building that if we get in a big disaster, that could be pre-deployed with emergency management, OEM supplies, and Red Cross, and not just look at one big stadium where we're trying to send everyone. Mentally ill people, they don't want to go to these big places. They can't sometimes take their animals. And so, for the ones that don't want to get together and go to the big place, we're looking for neighborhood hubs like they started with the Northeast Collaborative. So, yes, your team at Kinder. Hermine, would you come on and speak just quickly about that? He put a note in the chart about his team.
So,
Kinder, yeah.
so the Kinder there, I put the Kinder team there. There's something about urban, a person that's in charge of urban and civic projects, and then there's a person in charge of parks. And so the reason why I put that in there is essentially just to find out what kind of grant or what kind of information you need to provide to handle some of the things that you're talking about from the I-45 project, and maybe they can help fund the green spaces that you want to put in.
I'm so glad you said it, because I've recently met Julia from Texas Housers, and because we have all the apartments up and down that section, she's going to be working very close with us on the affordable housing aspect and how we're going to do with displaced people. And so I think what I'd like to say is we have so much. Yes, Jamie's asking where I'm getting to, and that is, what is the follow up action we can all do together? Well, I'm going to suggest that we do like we're doing here. We share the work that we're doing. We could all be doing something else right now. I mean, we're here all the time on these meetings for a reason. And that is, maybe at our next meeting, we'll all bring a person, and then we'll all share that out in our families, in our congregations, at our schools, at our jobs. We really just want to, be like vampires. We want to be recruiting all the time. We want to have a message, that they can't, want to refuse. We really want to be asked into their circles. And so I don't come in with a strong, PK and I are not coming in, in any way accusing people or saying, oh, all these rich people have generators and we need to have. Not every poor person where I live wants or can run a generator. These old houses, we've had several fires the last couple of years. We're looking more like a hub. We're kind of like the houses where one gets blown down and it's straw, and then there's one that's wood. And we were looking for the brick house where we can pre-deploy a generator. I've got an oxygen concentrator. We have first aid kits and ice and so forth, where we can have in these underserved neighborhoods hubs for special needs, and then help people that want to get to the big places get there. And that's a transfer.
So Pastor Deb, I guess recently we had the winter storms, and they placed out where the warming centers were. Have you identified the closest one to your area was, and if it worked effectively? And because we've been wanting to get something focused in your area, and we just haven't gone around to it yet. So we just need to start figuring out what do you have around and what you don't have around, and sort of focus in on one or two projects.
And we look at transportation. So we look at a place where people can go on Metro, which on Airline Drive would be the Northline City College. And so we're trying to work with that college and the city and find out if there's some potential there. They have us voting there now. I think they want to be part of the community, and that makes the most sense to me because people can get there from across from St. Charles Church, from Tidwell or Airline. And I think that's where working with Metro. And so, thank you, Hermine. You and I will speak about that on a side call, and you can guide me on that and give me some more of that expertise. You've helped me a great deal, the committee, and I want to thank you for that and your leadership. I think we're getting down to sort of the end of our program here. If I look at it on here, we're going to make announcements and then we're going to leave with one word. Are there announcements, Jamie?
We already did announcements, so we don't have to do that. Because we kind of
Right.
did that earlier with you. No, it's all right. Listen, between the two of us, we got one working brain, at least at this time of night. This past our bedtime. So I just wanted to say that we will be sending out notes and the links and resources and pictures. Make sure you put your email address in the chat before you leave if you would like that. I saw Terry rose her hand, so I think after that, no, Terry didn't. Okay, then I think
No,
it's
I
just,
did. I did. I did.
oh, Terry did. Then it's just one word. Okay.
No, I don't have one word. Um, do you guys I attend a lot of these meetings and the things that you're saying, there's no way I could even begin to keep up with what you're saying and all of these ideas. And I just want to suggest that if there's an email string or something, I'll capture your stuff and I'll put it in buckets because you have so many buckets that are being worked simultaneously. You got warming centers and cooling centers and hurricane resilience and just so many pieces that you touched that I'd be very happy to help organize and type as fast as I can to keep things in buckets. But yeah, I don't know who I work with, but tell me who it is and I'll try to help get this organized for you because this has been like mind-blowing, inspirational. Thank you all. Thank you for letting me come and participate.
Hey,
Thank you.
Terry, this is actually why I was rolling off of leading the summit is to work on doing something very much just like that. And so we'll definitely talk.
Okay, let's see if we can get out with one word. I know I feel great about it. I'll start with my word. Um, I am overwhelmed at everyone's enthusiasm here. That's my word, overwhelmed. Jamie?
I think I'm jazzed.
Mm.
Yeah, I feel kind of airy and excited, but jazz, like I'm doing jazz fingers, like in some sort of way. Um, so we're gonna popcorn. I'll pick
Yeah.
David. What is one word of how you feel leaving this call? Yes, that elusive mute button. Still on mute. You still on mute, David? Do you want to type it in the? Oh, there you
There it
go.
is. I found it. It's my first time on this. I'm with Better Brazoria down here in Brazoria County, and this is interesting. Appreciate the invite to listen in. So interesting.
We love Better Brazoria, and actually, Better Brazoria is part of the Summit Council, and Melanie is on that leadership team. So we love y'all. We're happy to have y'all always.
Right. Thank you.
David, do you want to pick the next person?
Uh,
I think you went back on mute. How about you, Laura? It's always good to see you, Laura. I think people are having trouble with their mute buttons. Do you want to go, Bob?
Yes, heartened. That's my word.
How about Lizzie?
I am exploring. I'm trying to find people like you guys. First time. Very excited to be here.
Awesome. How'd you hear about this, Lizzie?
So you mentioned Melanie.
Uh,
Melanie Oldham was one, and then also Jane Addams from
okay.
Annie's List. She was the one who sent me the link.
She is also on the planning team for the summit. I'm sure you heard. So awesome. Uh, Haley?
I am feeling calm.
You always seem calm. I'm sure you don't always feel it, but you seem it.
Duck on the water, man. I'll pop right
Laura, are
over
you
to
able to come off mute? Laura. Okay, maybe she's not able to, but she can always put it in the chat if she'd like, Paul.
I'll say collaborative. I feel very collaborative after hearing you guys doing your own things on mental health with the leadership of the TSU. Uh, Fantastic.
Dina?
I feel grateful that there is a bunch of people like y'all who care. And I put something in the chat about extreme weather people's hearing May 30th. You want to check that out?
Yes, thank you, thank you.
In the same day, and I can't remember my representative's name. I've been trying to think. Anyway, it's at the JCC at 10 o'clock in the morning, and they're going to hand out stuff and give information about how to deal with hurricanes and other kind of weather like that on the same day.
Awesome. Oh, and by the way, TOPS Climate Justice Team, they've been doing like surveys out in neighborhoods and doing community stuff. They're having like a working group town hallish thing, I think, on June 6th. I'll send y'all the information. Um, and then I think Mama PK, what's your one word?
Committed.
I need to call you, Mama. Sorry, I haven't called you back. And last but never least, Terry.
Oh, wow. Well, I was going to take jazz, but I'll take enthusiastic.
We can be enthusiastically jazz. I don't know.
Yeah,
God, that's like over the top, maybe.
I am. No, I'm over the top. There you go. Hyphenated, it's one word, over the top.
I have Dina's email. Dina is definitely HCM family. In fact, I think this is the first year she hasn't worked on the summit. Need to figure that out.
No, I don't have time, but
I'm trying.
I sent it to Terry directly. Chat.
Awesome.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming on here tonight, for being part of this energy, for not being shy or stigmatized. We're aiming for mental health parity, as I said. It's okay to not be okay. I'll let you know that I'm one of those people that sometimes it's a day when I'm taking extra steps, maybe taking an hour and just praying or listening to music. I have to protect my psyche too, because burnout, outrage, fatigue, all the things when we're helping people that are going through things that are really rough. Vicarious trauma is another problem. And so we want to make sure that we're also in a group of people that are taking care of themselves and getting their sleep and their nutrients. And I can tell by looking at this group, I think you're all kind of looking that way, like you care. Can't care about me if you can't care about yourself. That's what my doctor told me. So I'm going to say care for yourself. You'll care for everyone else, and we'll all be cared for. And so thank you for attending the Houston Climate Movement's general meeting tonight. And I hope that you continue to bring people and that we can get our summit really raised up and make this movement get moving faster.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Pastor
Bye-bye.
Deb. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening.
Great evening.
Thank you. Bye bye.